How you doing? Okay, so what we're doing here is we are starting the World of Warcraft Classic training sessions. We've added World of Warcraft Classic to the website because it was an awesome strategy game. And when they tried to expand the market, it became something else. It became, what everybody talks about, the money grab. I mean, you got to make money from these things or there's no reason for being in the business. But they brought back the World of Warcraft Classic, and I decided to immerse myself back into that. And I'm doing it blindly. Now, I have tons of characters on the original World of Warcraft, okay? And I'm not going back into that. I don't like the way they nerfed the game. I loved the strategy portion of the original game. And we do a lot of Guns of Glory stuff because there's a lot of strategy at the high end of the game. Only that's a pay-for-play game, and it's an extreme pay-for-play game, okay? So it's for people who really love the high-end strategy. Well, that stuff existed in World of Warcraft Classic. And there is so many more dungeons and so much more stuff to do, and then there is a very low cost per month. So I've decided to embrace this to see if we can get back what we used to have from this. So we're going to start here with the accounting system. All right. Now, I'm not going to bring it on the screen because I don't want to out my friends. But the Blizzard thing, I turned it on, and I got in there, and I saw guys who've been logged off for 7 years, just like I had. But I saw guys who've been logged on this week, and we're playing World of Warcraft Classic. So I'm not the only one who wants back this wonderful strategy portion of the strategy game. So I do believe there's something there, so I've decided to embrace it with the website. And quite frankly, the how-tos and stuff that are out there have been solely driven by the gold sellers since this game was incepted. So we're going to bring a little more approach to it. I've got a lot more tricks and stuff that we never told anybody about. We ran such a humongous guild back in the day. The max number of players, we ran 3 times a day on the dungeon, 7 days a week. We had 24/7 things going on. And we were just successful as could be, and it just bored the living crap out of me when it was log on, click button, get loot. When it got to the latest, I think I got 18 level 80s that I'm not going to play. So we're going to start fresh. And so what I didn't want to tell you about is what I found out about downloading the Classic. Okay, first of all, you don't need to go download the big 64-bit game. All right, I did that by accident yet on the video. You saw me on the previous video click that. You don't need that. Okay. I was remember like, man, the original WoW was like 15 gig, which was huge back in the day. You had to load it with DVDs. And we found shortcuts to loading it for all our customers in the store. We live out in the middle of nowhere where bandwidth is limited. So if you got back in the day, if you got a 1 megabyte per second connection, you were lucky. So you were looking at 2-3 days to download the game if you're downloading it. And then Blizzard pulled a lot of crap with us store owners where they would issue the DVDs. We couldn't hand them out to the customers until the day of the release. And then they would turn around and release the download the day before. And we were sitting here holding thousands and thousands of dollars of DVDs no one wanted to buy. And customers would download it the day before and walk back in and say, can I get my money back on these DVDs? So I had a bitter taste in my mouth with Blizzard Entertainment from a business standpoint. So I want everybody to know it's not always been roses with these guys. They still lost money cheating us. All right, that's a funny thing. So I don't want to get into how poorly they ran their business in the past when they had a great game and a great platform, and that's what we're going to focus on here. Now, you need a subscription, $15 a month. this is a game that is proven people will be invested in for years. But it's a game that is very low cost per month to play versus the pay-per-play that's on the things. It's PC based. And I will get into some how-tos and other stuff because I build hardware and equipment. It doesn't take uber PC stuff. Don't let the marketing and BS fool you. So, what I want you to... One second. You do need the subscription to play Classic. There is no free trial. Okay? They already know you love the game. They're not going to do that. If you go download the regular game, you get 20 levels for free. Alright, but if you do that, you're going to get stuck in the regular game. And the regular game is click, click, run around, click, click, run around. Even the original portion of the regular game, when you built new characters, was so easy that it was boring. The game is supposed to challenge you. It's not supposed to be log in, check your email, see what you won today. You're supposed to challenge your mind, your time, and play with other people who are just as challenged as you are. It's a team sport in the World of Warcraft. I don't know what the raid limits or what they've brought back in from the old. If they just rebooted the old stuff. If they did, then there are a whole bunch of stuff that I can bring to this game that they patched out in later versions of the game. And it wasn't that there was bad stuff or hacks or anything, but it was just how it was played. So we're getting to this point, and this is what we're telling you here. I want to tell you is I just did this. I tested this right before I got in here too. This is what's sad. So I'm going to... I got login. Lucky I got dual screens here. My password is incorrect. My password. Really? Okay, so I'm going to quit. And down here at the bottom, see, you can play either or with the same subscription. What we're playing is the Classic. And what I wanted to do is I backed out to get you this. Okay, this is what I wanted. Alright, guys, so I'm going to be on the Azure song. Now, so those of you who haven't played World of Warcraft and you know it, and you know whether that's got a taint because of people poking fun at it or not, trust me, the original was awesome because it was a strategy game, and it was an in-depth strategy game, and it developed over the course of years into an outstanding, lots of dungeons and content, and now that it's been a decade, that content would seem like new. Alright, now PvP realms, you can kill anybody anytime you want. It is basically Guns of Glory on steroids. Anytime you just want to go kill somebody, kill somebody. So if you're a little troll that just likes to beat on people and say it's a war game, you're going to pick a PvP server. Alright? If you're one of these people that want to turn around and talk about fairies and elves and all this other stuff and play your class and pretend you are that person, you want to be on a role-playing server. Okay? Now, they got role-playing normal servers down here. The high, you see these mediums? What that means is these are already starting to fill up. And I actually, out of nostalgia, went and looked for my old server, which was Malfurion. And it's not on this list because it's a different it's a different game, right? So I'm going to pick the Azure song, and the reason I'm going to tell you guys what I'm picking here is if you're wanting to learn to play, I'm going to take this from the approach that you've never played before, you want to learn to play, and you want to learn to build a character properly. Okay? So, we're going to build a game. Alright. Now, we're going to talk about character class. Okay, this is the beauty of me having done this for so long. Alright, so we're going to look and see what's changed. I literally am going into this blind. I'm hoping not a lot has changed. Now, bonus reputation gains. I love bonus to reputation gains. Reputation was the hardest thing to get up. Skills with swords, maces, and increase. So, now, my favorite character was the Paladin. The worst character in Classic was the Paladin. They never fixed it while the game was live. Now, I am going to build another Paladin at some point in time. But for the purposes of helping everybody learn, I'm going to help you by saying, play, let's say, there's two classes that we know are always in demand. And that's going to be tanks and healers. Always in demand. So if you want to make sure that you can play on your schedule, so we're talking about down the road here where you want to go play on Thursday night because you work or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about picking a class based on your lifestyle. All right, so I'm going to, and so that I know that when I'm able to jump in and play content, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to pick a priest because they're always in demand. And two, I get to stand in the back of the room during dungeons, which will be good for filming. All right. So, I mean, there's a business aspect to this. You're going to find a lot of kids pick mages and warlocks and or rogues. And they're so plentiful that you're going to have a hard time getting into dungeons. But priests and warriors are going to wind up being your two most high in demand. Now, if it's pure classic, the paladin is going to wind up being a healer and not a tank. I was, as far as I know, the only paladin in classic to ever get a Nyxia sword. It took a humongous effort by the guild. It took 6 months running Dire Maul to get the book. It took another 3 months to get the materials and all the questing that went with it. And paladins did not have the ability at the time to develop aggro to hold a Nyxia's threat unless you put mage gear on, literally cloth gear on, and tanked a Nyxia. So I had to have these epic healers to keep me alive to hold threat while I had mage gear on taking the Nyxia hits at level 60. And then I had to turn around and heal, not tank, myself to hold threat. And then that's how we figured out a way around it. Like I said, I know a lot of tricks to getting things done. But if you're, for the most part, a Nyxia sword was a warrior only thing. It was eligible for paladins. I had a paladin. They didn't fix the paladin threat problem until months into Kazan in BC, when BC was released. Then the damage that was being done by a paladin when you hit it was considered magic damage, and that was generated as threat. They changed, they patched that. So if they've patched that in in the classic, I'm gonna when I go to build a tank for you guys, I'm probably gonna build a paladin tank. It's one of my favorite classes. But for now, I'm gonna choose this, and we are going to play. Not a female. And I'm going to play a human. Since I'm in my little dungeon, I'm a little wider than this guy, guys. Yeah. looks like he's on heroin. Yeah, let's not do that. Hell, that looks a lot more like me. Can we get a longer beard? Alright, I'm not a yuppie. Ooh, look, I could be Wolverine. Alright. Okay. So, there's my priest. There's my gamer tag. Alright. Now, before I leave this page, let's talk about the other stuff. So I'm going to click through it. Dwarf priests are actually kind of cool because they're resistant to frost. So you got some racial talents that we'll throw in here, and we'll get into that when we get into there. There's actually some base race talents. Now the human only has I can't remember bonus to reputation, swords and maces increase. See, for the priest on the human, what we're really looking for is that spirit gain and the rep gain. So, now, this is a good one to build a priest on, the gnomes, because you're going to want to, we still got other stuff. May escape from speed altering effects. Increased intelligence is the reason why. That's going to increase your crit, if they still do that. And you're also resistant to some arcane damage, which some bosses will give you an advantage on that. And your engineering skill increase. And an engineering priest is not a bad priest. It's a good combo of talents. You can still be an engineer on the other one. It just gives you a little easier time leveling the engineer is what it does. It skips you 15 levels is what it does. It's not something to chase or pursue, to be honest. But the escaping is good, and Night Elf. Now, the fade into the shadows. I don't want to tell you that that's still the way it was, but that used to be a good way of getting out of things. Just back off, and you could drop threat, which for a priest is very good deal. If you're an uber priest, you don't care that your dodge is increased because you're never going to dodge. Wisp form, you look different when you're dead. Who cares? Resistance to nature damage, some bosses again. But may fade, when you fade into the shadows, that used to be a way of wiping your threat off the board. So these were awesome healers. So you may want to choose this class. Now, if you choose this class versus what I'm doing, the how-tos that I'm going to put forward are not going to follow along. Alright? The reason I'm not choosing this is I don't like the quest over there. The distance traveled when you're running around in Classic is insane when you quest on that side of the map. And it's much easier to level. And like I said, the reputation gains over the long period of time, and we're talking about the course 6-7 months, you're going to get a lot more out of these reputation gains than that aggro wipe. We're going to show you other tricks for aggro wiping anyway. So I'm going to choose my priest here, and should I show you others? Okay, your warrior class has a hard time leveling as a tank, and everybody wants him as a tank. You're only going to get into dungeon rolls if you tell everybody you're a tank, and if you run in there in berserker mode and think that you're a tank and that your healer, and then start whining, bitching, moaning that your healer's not healing you. Well, because you're taking all this freaking damage in berserker mode, you're going to be reputationally not allowed into other dungeons. But when you have to quest by yourself as a tank, it's a little bit more difficult. And I am going to go back over and I'm going to do the tank, because there's ways to do a tank and get damage. And that's going to get into more complicated things like macros and things like that to show you how to level a tank as a tank. So that's going to be a specific challenge. But for right now, this is what I'm choosing, guys. Okay, so. And like the rogue, for people who have the time and patience to sneak up and stab people in the back, that's what they want to do. I don't like the play style. The beauty of playing on the horde side is you get to play the shaman. And I'll tell you right now, the shaman was overpowered as hell. The shaman's the counteractive to the paladin. The paladin was nerfed in the classic, and the shaman was overpowered as hell. And when we get into some of the PvP stuff, the shaman was epic. So I will probably roll one of those at some point in time. But we're doing this for a reason. Like I said, the point here is if you're learning to play the game and you're going to follow along with the how-tos and the stuff that I do to make it easier, where I show you a video how I get from point A to point B, or if there's difficult quests, I'm going to show you those difficult quests and how to do them as a priest, because leveling a priest is a little bit more difficult. But because of the difficulty, you're going to learn more about the game. And then when you get your account leveled up, you're going to be better at the game. And you're going to have a very valuable player that is awesome to your guild and alliance. So we're going to teach you how to build something that's worth having. All right, guys, so accept. All right, there I am. And that's going to be the end of this, okay? So this was about what you're choosing, how you're choosing. And if you want to, and where I'm going to start doing this stuff in a series on this one, if you want to follow along with me, this is what you choose. You've got to have the subscription to play the Classic. There's no free trial. But it's also not $500 a month to play the game like it is in Guns of Glory. So the $800, some guys spend 20 grand. If you're just watching this as a world thing, guys, my 500,000 viewers that I got in the Guns of Glory area. Yeah, there's guys who spend there's people who spent $1.5 million playing a phone game. So I'm bringing over a strategy market, but there's a bunch of people who just can't afford to play in that strategy market, and this is the solution. I think that's why I spent about a month and a half looking around for something. I'm like, I know this game, I know how this works, and I know I loved it, and I know the reasons that I loved it. So it's something I can teach. I can teach well. I will have to learn what they've changed, what they didn't change, what they're gonna change. But I do that all the time anyway. So I appreciate it, and if you will like and subscribe down there, I appreciate it. I am going to wind up having to put some of this on a different channel at some point, because I'm not abandoning the Guns of Glory strategy game platform. I do like the intense player versus player strategy portion of Guns of Glory. Because it is team versus team, and it is strategist versus strategist, and it is real time, and it is really good content and stuff when we get into the player versus player strategy portion. This is player versus environment strategy game, and it's more puzzle orientated, and there's a strategy and dance with this stuff. Still requires lots of teamwork, still requires a team to do their effort, and we love that about the original Classic. So we're going to bring that back. We're going to push it and hope that it does well. I was happy that Blizzard sent me an invitation to be an influencer. And I thought long and hard on it, and I looked around, and I said, you know, it's really the only thing out there that still does what it did. Blizzard learned lessons about what not to do, that I see some of the new games copying the old mistakes that Blizzard made. Server merges being one of them. Always a disaster. It destroyed World of Warcraft. So they're rebooting. They're rebooting with the content and the strategy portion of the game, and saying, well, people will just pay us $15 a month to play. We'll keep the old stuff live. And then I'm certain they're already I've already seen 2 or 3 patches in there where they're patching stuff. So I think they're fixing old stuff that they skipped. And we'll see how that goes. So I appreciate everything that's going on. Guys, if you want to join me with this stuff, I showed you the Azure Song servers where I'm at. I will probably build an alliance, and we're going to do a go slow thing. All right? We're gonna take the years and years and years where I played this game, and we're going to take the questions that you bring me in-game, in content, and we're going to bring them out to there, and I'm going to turn around and demonstrate them as I can. It takes time. We're going to spend the next 6 months together building Epic Guild again. Only this time we're going to have how-tos, and as people come in, they learn, and they can follow along and say, okay, this is how I do this, and they got a visual training aid. We didn't have that in the past. If you look on the YouTube, I've been out there since 2007. I didn't put squat out there. We did record Fraps videos. I had a website before for my World of Warcraft guild. I threw it away. When I quit the game, I said enough of it. I don't even want to maintain the website. But when we posted videos, Fraps videos and how-to videos before, we never put them on YouTube. I own those things, and I don't even own them no more. I deleted the hard drive that stuff was on. Not relevant stuff anymore, and I wouldn't want to go back through the old stuff because it wouldn't be relevant. So we're going to start over again, and the next video you see will probably be levels 1 through 5, where we go through, we're going to try and break them down into 30-minute chunks. We'll see what 30 minutes looks like. And I'll try to familiarize people with the game. Actually, probably the next video will probably be a familiarization with the interface. And then as we get going, we will get into customizing the interface so that you can be an uber gamer. Okay? I got all kinds of macro hacks. Matter of fact, there's just tons of add-ons now. We used to have to do it by hand, but now there's a ton of add-ons that do this stuff for you. So I'll look through those and show you how to use them and install them and stuff like that. All right. I want you to, if you want to get involved with this game, Azure Song is the server. It will probably not show low. It'll probably show medium or high, but don't be afraid of that. And once we hit our limit, you let us know. I probably won't have a guild right off the bat because I'll have to build up gold and stuff like that to buy those things. And I'm not going and buying gold from Chinese gold farmers. We're not teaching that. I'm going to show you how to play the game and win without spending money. So I appreciate it all. This is Don at Rogers Raiders. I'm on Gunmuse, and we are talking about World of Warcraft Classic, not the vanilla. So subscribe down to the bottom right-hand corner. Click the bell button so you know what's going on. And I appreciate it all. Thank you, guys.